You're watching EVH Gear TV. Official Van Halen merchandise for EVH Gear TV is provided by VanHalenStore.com. Now, here's your host from Ontario, Canada, EVH Gear artist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. It's finally Friday. It seems like a very long week. Thank you for watching EVH Gear TV, and I'm joined tonight by a longtime, but one of the most requested return guests I've ever had on the show, Gary Hoey, and from Fender United Kingdom, UK, Pedro Samp. Guys, how you doing?
Woo, excellent.
Hello Eric, hello Gary. How's it going, boys?
Cheers to the weekend. Cheers to the weekend to you guys.
Cheers for
everybody.
the weekend.
Cheers.
We have a full itinerary tonight. It's going to be a great evening and a great way to kick off the weekend. And we're very lucky to have Gary because Gary has a very small window of break in his tour. The tour has been very successful, and I think that's what we'll do. We're going to jump right into a couple questions, and we're going to run over to the chat. We got people waiting there already. But Gary, so you've had the overseas tour now, which has been really, really great. You've got a short break. The question I had for you is, how have you noticed anything difference in the fans of overseas as opposed to here in North America? Do they treat you any differently? Are they crazier? Are they more fun? What's the difference on that tour?
Wow, that's a great question to start it off, especially because we got Pedro here, who from the UK, my new best friend. I got to hang with him in our first time ever playing in London, and we had chatted kind of through different, email and Facebook before we got there. We connected. But, that night was one of the most rocking shows because we were kind of in a pub in London, and it was that real sweaty crowd, everybody up in our face. But overall, the European audience were very passionate, very excited about the music, and they're expressing, and the way they expressed, their feeling for the music was great. I don't know if there's a difference between the U.S. and Europe so much as it is that Americans, I think we're a little spoiled. You know what I mean? We're a little spoiled sometimes because we have so many acts that come through on a regular basis. Whereas, like if you go to the Netherlands, they really appreciate that you came all this way, and they show it. And I really loved the audience. The audiences there, they were very excited but focused. They really paid attention to what we were doing, and that meant a lot.
Nice. So Pedro, how'd that feel for you? I mean, obviously we talked a lot about that beforehand too. It's nice, Gary, coming over to your neck of the woods. I know you've been a big fan, and you've told me off the air many times too how Gary has been an influential catalyst to your guitar playing. What was it like to finally get to see him, not only in a venue where you got to hang with him as well, and have some quiet time with him too?
Dude, that was absolutely priceless. To this day, I still don't believe it, really. You can see, like, I got smile ear from ear, it was really, really insane. And it was actually the first time I got to see Gary playing live. It was the raw thing, as he was saying. It was a really packed pub in the UK. And to see such a great action right in front of your eyes, it's like, oh my God. I got a lot to catch up with, But it was really great because, as you guys, I believe you guys know to this point, I'm originally from Rio, from Brazil.
Okay.
And Gary really inspired me to pursue this thing, And here I am. It's about 15 years later in the UK, living in London. So yeah, it is absolutely insane, and to see the real thing in front of you.
Now, what was the size of that venue? What was the size of that venue there, roughly? What was it? What would it seat?
What do you think, Pedro? 200, 250?
I think a bit more. About 300, yeah.
Yeah. But it had that, packed energy with the dance floor, those sunken in with the stage, and then an upper area that you could step up by the bar where me and Pedro had a drink, a beer together with his lovely girlfriend. And, it's amazing because, Pedro's talking about how he came from Brazil. He's in the UK, and I inspired him musically, and that means a lot to me, because I had my influences coming up, that influenced me and inspired me. So, if somebody wants to pursue a career in music, which now Pedro's working with Fender, he's doing workshops, he's making music, and that's really what it takes, is just getting out there and if you want to follow an idol, then if they make you work harder and they make you practice more and they give you a direction and an insight, then I feel like I've done my job to pass it on.
There you go. That's fantastic. Well, Pedro, tell us a little bit about your gig. I think you've just started working here with about the past 6 months. Is that about right?
At Fender, yes, it's roughly now going to 7 months.
Okay.
I'm pretty much looking after managing the Spanish and the Portuguese market from the UK, because Fender recently changed the way we doing business in Europe. So we got a central office now in the UK that looks after the entire Europe, and I'm the one responsible to looking after Spain and Portugal for language skills.
Nice. Very nice.
Well, bring me down there for some clinics.
There you go. Get him on some clinics.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
That's fantastic. I'm going to jump over to the chat real quick because I see it lighting up like crazy. So we're going to say hi to a bunch of people here real quick. So we're going to jump back in Bane Rocks, which is my little guy, obviously a huge Gary Hoey fan. And he has this massive guitar pick collection right now. And the Gary Hoey pick is his #1 favorite pick. So he's bugging me for a couple picks that I have here as well, too. But he has to wait in line. But he loves the Gary Hoey pick. Oh, there you go. You got it, man. Given to you by the man himself in person. Nice. Very nice.
Insane.
Steve Caron's joining, saying hello everyone. Poison Ivy Gross here, and this is my better half who's been very ill lately, so she's joining us tonight for the first time in a while. And Gary and both Pedro and everyone joining in the chat, thank you all for your outpouring of support, getting her better. She's doing a little bit better, enough that she can join us tonight, so this show wouldn't happen if it wasn't for her, so we're very thankful. Frank C saying good evening, Poison. Lyle, catch him by the power of Grayskull. I have the power. Okay. Mike Ray's thumbs up. Carlo Santin says, happy Friday, everyone. Lots of love and positive energy for Poison Ivy tonight. I hope you're feeling better. Dak Tar says, just in time, glad for better days. Noobs says, what's up, my people? Blackie DH, JD Gonzalez, hello. Hi, guys from Venezuela. We do get a lot of around the globe people on the show. So Venezuela representing, thank you. Chris A says, hello. Sean Silas, speaking of Fender employees, you must know Sean. Gary, do you know Sean? It works at Fender and EVH?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
We're the family.
Yes, there you go. Sean, it's so cool. I get to see some people that pick up a nice Wolfgang and they show me the hang tags and I see the SS signature on there. I'm like, that's my boy. He built it. He's great. Nice. Love him. A family guy. And Gary, last time you were here too, we talked so much. We talked more family than we talked music, which is cool because music is family, but Sean is as family gets. So that's awesome. Dak Tar says, cheers. Frank C, good evening, guys. I'll catch him. Has the show started? My phone never gets on time. Yeah, we're live. We're about 5-10 minutes live. MB says, what's up, people? Gary Hoey in the house. Loved Deja Blues a few years ago. Ed Guy Rocks. Hey, kiddos. Blackie DH Poison Ivy. Good to see you here. Frank C, hi, Sean. Bane Rocks was saying I had a little bit of delay. So people let me know if the video and audio delay has synced itself up. Hopefully that's good. Carlo Santin says he's got a guitar in hand. Let me see. Sean Salas, obviously a lot of people echoing Sandra Lee's return to the show. Let me see here. Bruce saying, Eric, hi, EVH Gear TV and Poison Ivy. Let me see. Who have I missed? Thomas Santiago. Get down to the bottom. Sean Salas is very happy to see Gary on the show. Let me see here. Okay, this is good. And you know what? I'm going to jump into. I have an itinerary that I usually follow. But a question comes up from a fan that echoes something I had on the itinerary, and it's a good. So we're going to pick something that I had later in the evening. Let me see. Where was the question here? MB says, Gary Hoey is so underrated. I wonder if he's working on anyone else's projects like he did with Lita Ford a few years ago. And the question I had for you was, last time you were here, you talked about producing that. Are you working with anyone else? Are you doing some side projects or collaborations with anyone? And maybe share some of that with us.
Yeah, man, I'm working on a few prospects, I guess. But I do want to, thank everybody for joining in and hanging with us tonight, and say, hi and peace to everybody out there, hanging with us on a Friday night. We appreciate your time and your energy. And I'm glad your woman's feeling better. We were sending prayers from all over the place.
Thank you. It helped tremendously.
It works, man. And working with Lita has been great. She's coming back. We're going to be working together again. Matter of fact, I just spoke to her today on the phone, and we're working on her new album. It's coming along great. And I'll be honest, I love producing, and I'm working with some other artists. I'm working with some other talented people that I'll be announcing pretty soon. Some of them are not really big famous people, but they're people I want to make famous.
That's right.
If that makes sense.
And, of course.
And then I have my dreams, like I just toured with Beth Hart, the incomparable, amazing, I could go on forever, Beth Hart, who's just such an incredible singer, performer, and person. And we became, I think mutual admirers on the tour. I hope good friends forever,
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to work with her, just get a chance to record a song, play together, do something together. That would be amazing. And then I have my wish list. Eric Clapton still hasn't called me, but I'm waiting. Jeff Beck, he hasn't called. Pedro hasn't called. So, I'm hanging.
There you go. Call him, Pedro.
Yeah.
We would do, man.
That's hilarious.
I would definitely.
Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate that. Someone said I was underrated because really I'm not underrated. I'm just underpaid. That's all.
Oh, there you go.
I'm kidding. Cheers.
No, I love that. Cheers, man. Speaking of Lita Fortis, I saw a post of hers online today. She was playing some festival. Now, you'd know this, but it's she described it as the most northern outdoor festival in the world. Where was that at?
Actually, she called me on her way out. She was heading to Norway.
Okay.
So she went all the way to Norway, to play like a festival, and I'm sure it was amazing, but she was saying that was a pretty long way to go.
I'll bet. Yeah, I saw the picture online. I'm not sure if it was Twitter or Facebook, one of the two. But yeah, you see this beautiful outdoor shed, and when I say shed, it's not a shed. It's what we call the outdoor venues. But right along the ocean, whatever, it was insane. It looked like 50,000 people or maybe more, along the ocean, which is pretty cool. Now, I don't know, this is my ignorance here, but is the weather nice there at this time of year? I assume.
Yeah. I reckon.
Like still summer? It's like they have an actual summer.
Well, you can call it summer, I believe so.
Okay.
You can call it summer.
So it's still enjoyable for an outdoor.
It is summer, but I'm not too sure if it's hot enough to go to the beach, for instance. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was nice enough for 50,000 people to hang out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Just a few more questions over in the chat. I'll jump that and I'll come back to our itinerary here. So Steve Karen says Gary is a real deal. There's no doubt about that for sure. And what's funny, Gary, is last time you're here, what's that?
I said, thank you, Steve.
Oh, no problem. Before the show was even ending that night, I had people message me saying, when's Gary going to be back? I'm like, whoa, we're still live. You know what I mean? Slow your roll. Let's end the show, and then I'll message them. But it was great. You were requested from the minute we finished that show. That was great. Let me see here. Lyle Ketchum says, Gary, I checked out earlier and want to say Fade to Blue is awesome. Love the tone and feel.
Oh, right on, man. Fade to Blue is one of my power ballads from my very first album, Animal Instinct, and I really still enjoy that song a lot. And matter of fact, I came across a chord chart yesterday of the thing. I should post it on my Facebook page so people play the chords and and jam on it, because it's just one of those heart-wrenching ballads, man. I was going through some stuff at that point in my life, and it came out in that song, and the fans always sort of know it and hear it, so I appreciate it.
Good. Fantastic. And that's what some of our best material comes from, is real life stories, obviously, whether it's thrills or not so much, right? And,
Yes.
really, really comes through in the music. People will say, oh, man, you must have been going through a really dark time, whatever. It's like, not always the case, or maybe it is the case. Sometimes really positive things can also be really negative, what you're going through at the time, and it comes out as positive. So it's always a mystery. Mauricio says, great news. Keep positive energy and praying. That's for Sandra Lee. Sean Silas says, got to get myself a Gary Hoey pick. I'm sure we can probably arrange that, Sean. You know what? And Gary, here's a cat that you're going to know. And I'm honored every time I see him pop in my show. And I still think I have to send him some money or something. Shawn Tubbs is joining us.
Who is?
Shawn Tubbs from Nashville. Shawn Tubbs with Carrie Underwood. Man, I tell you, every time he shows up at my show, I feel like, okay, I'm glad I'm not playing tonight, because whenever I play and he shows up, it's like, okay, I got to stop playing now because I'm going to be under the gun. But he never judges. He's such a great guy. Really, really nice.
Makes you nervous anyway. It's just when a guitar player that is good, it does. It kind of,
it's like,
especially in the front going like this.
I know.
Like I do.
Yep. Back in the day when I used to do the Van Halen tribute, I used to get, there'd be 15 guys. It was almost, I thought they were security because there'd be like 16 guys in the front with their arms like this. And I thought, oh, that must be security. No, they're just fans waiting for me to make a huge mistake. And of course, doing that, I did make huge mistakes. But it was fun.
We're just keeping hands warmed in case you ask us up to jam. That's all it is.
That's right.
And we've got the one guitar pick in our pocket waiting for you to ask us.
Exactly. Yeah. Can I have a pick? I don't have any. Oh, it's okay. I'll go get one from the other guitar players coming up in a few minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you need any stuff, I'll mail you some stuff if you need some, guitar picks for any viewers. And we have to come up with a prize tonight, right? We
can always do that. I didn't ask you for one off on this one, but yeah, we can do a prize if you want. You can pick it.
Yeah, man. You need us to send out some CDs or whatever?
Oh, that'd be great.
We'll do a Gary Hoey signature pedal, whatever you want.
Okay, we'll do something like that. That'd be fantastic. And here's a funny thing, too. I had to take one for the team here, too. You were very kind, sent me a nice signed 8x10, which was great, and I treasure it. Have it on my rock wall here, too, and a guitar pick. And
it wasn't a piece, though.
What's that?
It was an 8x10 of someone else, right?
No. Nice try. Yeah, it was Farrah Fawcett, is what it was.
It was my dog.
Yeah. But little Junior here claimed the guitar pick, and as much as I wanted it, my son's pretty awesome, so I was like, you know what, he's got a cool guitar pick collection, so he has it, and he's very proud of it. And apparently it makes him a better guitar player, because he plays with all these other picks. When he plays with the Gary Hoey pick, he actually shreds, so there's magic in those picks.
It's the pick of destiny, yes.
That's right. So those picks should be $100 a pick. Forget about doing lessons. For this, sell magic picks like the Magic Beanstalks.
This is it, yeah.
That's right. Okay, jump back to chat real quick. Sean Salas says, thank you guys. Much love. Shawn Tubbs says, late again. Noob says, I have delay here, but not too bad. Matthias Salvi says, so proud of my bro. Congratulations, Samp. He's been talking about the possibility of the situation happening since we were 14 years old. Excited for you. Is that one of your friends?
Sorry, mate?
Matthias Salvi?
Oh, yeah. Gary, this guy, man, we grew up together, and this guy loves Wipeout. Mm-hmm. He would literally go inside a cafe and just start to play Wipeout, blasting from the speakers, and start a moshing pit, because he loves it so much, man. He's a great surfer. He's a really, really great surfer.
Oh, right on.
That's so cool. Well, tell him hello from me, and also, I'm glad he tuned in, because my whole thing with guitar was, always trying to take an old classic song like a Wipeout, and coming up with a way of reinventing it, And I always thought of the melody, when you go, whatever you're going, right? But I wanted to go, I wanted to do it like. I wanted to do like the drop D, heavy, and that's how I reinvented it. And when we were in the studio recording it, Myron Grombacher was playing drums, and Tony Franklin was playing bass, the fretless monster.
Of course.
And we were jamming in the studio, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the song, I started going. Wipeout. And then I took the talk box, and I took up the talk box, and I'm going, Wipeout. Anyway, so we reinvented an old classic. So I'm glad it's people are digging it.
I love it.
To say you hot rodded it,
There you go.
Hot rodded a really good song.
Yes, hot rodded it. That's very good. Well put.
That's the thing. Most people,
that was awesome.
Most people, including myself, would follow the melody, single notes, whatever. But doing that is really, really cool. It's taking a different approach to it. And someone else I find that does a lot of that kind of stuff that's been on the show before too. And I know a mutual admiration for all of us. Teef Stephens does that kind of thing too. He just, when you expect him to follow the vocal melody, whatever, it's like, nope, the vocal melody is going to speak here, so I need to do this. It'd be 100% completely opposite.
It's insane.
I love Teef Stephens. He's a friend. I've known him since the Hamer days, and great guy, great player. Well, what it is you can't be afraid to just try stuff out. Like Wipeout, it's a double tempo song. It's really high energy. So when we were rocking out, I just thought, wow, what if from this... Like, what if we break it down? You know what I mean? It was just something that we just tried at the last minute,
It's perfect.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Love it. A couple other people here that are in the chat here as well. Contis says just tuned in. Black DH says good bro. Lau Ketchum says new stuff by Lita. Score. Noob says bought a Kemper today. Now want to get it. Now the wait to get it here. Frank C says Lita rock. So obviously a mutual admiration for Lita Ford. And I'd like to get her on the show as well too, and talk about some of the old days, along with the Van Halen era and all that kind of stuff. Some cool discussions there, I'm sure. Let me see here.
She's got some stories, if you ever read her book.
I know, and some of them I probably won't get into, just because, you know what I mean. There's some stories that we just won't say. We like to keep it 100% positive, and there's some things that kind of took some left and right turns there, jumping out of some windows and stuff like that. So we'll leave those ones alone.
It's a family show, I know.
That's right. Yeah, but I'm sure we can still keep it pro and it'd be all good with it. So Pedro, here's another one of your friends here too. Christophe Bergard, I hope I pronounced that right, says, I'm amazed to see a close friend of mine live with Gary. Can't believe it. Wish you all the best, Pedro. And I'm happy too as well.
Awesome.
I'm really glad you could be here with us tonight, Pedro, because you've been very kind to me as well too. And and I know you're a fan of Gary Hoey. It's one of those things where I said recently last week when we had some troubles here at home with the family being Poison Ivy being sick. And I just reached out to a few people and said, send some positive energy if you can. And positive energy really does really, really good things. And so facilitating a show like this, I thought, you know what? I have the power to help somebody out and pay it forward. And I know you're a huge fan. It'd be like asking someone for me to sit in with, Gary and Eddie Van Halen and all these other people. If they could do it, awesome. I had the opportunity to do that, and I was more than happy. And I know Gary is thrilled to have you as well, too. So it's a fun night. It's going to be a great fun night. It's paying it forward.
Dude, thank you so very much.
Oh, no thanks necessary.
I said this before. Jared. This is like, I'm just like a 9-year kid, again, meeting Batman. That's how it feels to me. It's insane. Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, we got EVH Gear, which is something that is literally beyond me. Ever since I started to play, ever since I started my career, like on a professional capacity, doing the best I can to be there, pursuing the dream. Somehow the Wolfgang got me. The guitar simply got me, and I don't know why. I'm not too sure if this is just because I really love Eddie, or if it's just the guitar itself. Because the guitar feels amazing to me. It feels really, really right. I saw Jeff Beck saying something really nice about playing Stratocasters. Mm-hmm. He was saying that whenever he picks up a different guitar, it feels like he's playing guitar. But when he picks up a Strat, it doesn't feel like he's playing guitar. It feels like natural. It feels like it's doing something that is meant to be,
like walking.
So that's exactly that's pretty much how I feel when I grab a Wolfgang. It feels really right to me. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Sounds lovely. Everything on it is just brilliant.
Well, I said that to Gary before too. Gary, when you were on last time, I said it seems very, very odd if I see you with a guitar that's not a Stratocaster in your hands. What is it about that Strat that just moves you as a musician?
Well, I think it's like what Pedro was saying, the Wolfgang, I think, because Eddie Van Halen, he kind of knows what guitar players like, he knows what feels right in your hands, you know what I mean? So I'm sure from the shape of the neck to the way it feels and the way it balances to all those things, it kind of adds up. For me, I played a Les Paul for 15 years when I first started, I was playing a Les Paul, and I've been playing Strats probably 22 years now, I think. I love the versatility in the way you can get the 5-way, you can get a lot of tones. I love that. And I really love the way the body is cut, just the way it's contoured here. It's a really amazing thing. And, the first Fat Strat came out in the 50s or something, they still haven't changed the design since the beginning. And that's just such a testimony to what they were doing. And that makes it sort of sit back a little bit when I'm playing. I can see the fretboard a little better. It hugs my body. So, it's the way that makes it feel. And for me, with a Strat, I can play something and not be really loud. I can just be like, I can be, and it still kind of has some dynamics to it. I'm always, tempted to change the volume control and not always have it on full and just bring it down. And then if you crank it up, it's going to respond to how you attack it. I like that.
A comfort zone for sure. And it's really funny too, is as much as I love the Wolfgangs, I mean, you guys all know that I'm the Wolfgang guy. You see a few of them. Actually, you can't see on the small screen here right now, but you guys can probably see there. I've got my screen kind of shrunk, but I've got 3 of the Wolfgangs, actually 2 Wolfgangs in the Stripe series back there. And I'm finding the Strat, because I always grew up with a Strat style guitar as well too. It was always either a real Strat or a Mexican Strat or a copy of a Strat, but I had many versions of all of them. And flipping back and forth between the Radius on a Wolfgang, and then last night I started playing the Stripe series again a lot, the black and white one, and that one I think really is my comfort zone. And that's why I'm also looking into in the near future getting some of the Charvel, San Dimas's and things like that too, because one of the things I like about the Wolfgang is I like having that neck pickup. Because I mean, Eddie made it famous of being on one pickup. Let's not say he can't do anything with one pickup, but it is nice. We know we need that versatility of different pickups. And I find that just with my hands, there's one spot in my palm of my hand with the Wolfgangs, I'll get a sore spot, especially with the standard, because it's a smaller neck, and you kind of strangle it like a broomstick. But with the slightly wider radius of the Stripe series, which is like a Strat, that really just is my home place for me. So I'm going to probably be spending a lot more time on that style guitar.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to find, where you feel the most comfortable. And I think, I tell guitar players all the time, your hand size, everything about the way you play, you have to play to what works for you, whether it's string gauge, lighter strings, heavier strings. It really depends on what feels comfortable.
Mm-hmm. So the next question I had for you before I jump back to the chat, and we see some of your EVH gear behind you, and both of you guys, and for that matter, are you still using the same amps on tour, Gary, and how have they been working for you? And have you tried any of the newer ones, like the newer Lunchbox series and things like that?
Well, I've been staying pretty true to the 5153. And this 50 watt head, I was talking to you before we went on air that I have a flight case for it. I took it to Europe with me, and I had my tone. I had my sound everywhere I went, which was important to me.
Nice.
And I have a Stealth. I have a Stealth sitting over there, and I love it. It sounds great. I have checked out the Lunchbox ones and stuff like that, and the combos. But you know what? For me, where I'm at right now with the kind of blues rock thing, I feel like I can kind of stay in ride that wave with this amp, because it's still not too gainy. I can kind of get what I want out of it, and I can clean it up. And a lot of times what I do is I'll use the gain channel, but I'll roll my volume back. I do that a lot, which Eddie Van Halen obviously did a lot. He uses volume control a lot. So a lot of times for me, if I roll my guitar back, I can play a rhythm part that's...
Listen to that.
It sounds pretty clean.
It does.
But then right there, I can go... And I can go down... And then I can kick it up. So I can kind of ride that wave of still being bluesy and still being rock. And that's why I've stayed with these amps.
Fantastic. Well, here's a question I had later on in the program as well, too. And I do this, and I thought I was one of the very few people that do it, because a lot of people thought I was crazy. But on the 5150 series, especially the 100 watt, which I have behind me, and then, of course, the new Lunchbox that has the nice, beautiful, clean channel, I was running an overdrive pedal into it. And people are like, well, why would you want to do that? It has some of the best overdrive in the world. And that is true. But the sound of it, especially using a couple different pedals, number one being the MXR 5150 overdrive, the signature pedal, and then this one that Gary and I were talking about, and Pedro and I were talking about off the air too, the Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe version 2. I mean, you want to talk about some brown sound. My question for either of you guys, do you experiment with overdrives into the clean channels of your amps? I'll go with you first, Gary.
Yeah, man. There's a whole lot of education that I received over the years about amplifiers and how they work. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't very educated in the beginning. I just thought, crank up, get loud, more distortion the better, lower action the better, lighter strings the better. Can you put my strings under the frets, please?
Yes, yeah.
And I didn't really understand tone. And then I met a gentleman in Los Angeles named Andy Brower. And Andy has a studio rental company, would rent amps to, recording studios and stuff, and had a great collection of boutique amps. So he let me play through a lot of great old amps. And one time we did a demonstration at Guitar Institute in Hollywood, GIT. Mm-hmm. We came in and we did a thing. I won't bore you too long, but we had amps lined up, let's just say, from the earliest Fenders, earliest Hi-Watt, Marshall, blah, 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 all the way down. And we went through a retrospect of history.
Okay, that's cool.
Did it kind of in a way like where I might go, okay, this amp is like this, you know, and, you know, I might play, you know. I might play a Beatles thing.
Okay.
And I would use the amp that they used. And so I learned about clean power, you know, and dirty power and oversaturation and all that. And I found like sometimes with a clean amp, just using a couple foot pedals can give you more definition, more character. If I take the clean channel on my amp, it might just sound like this, you know, say, you know, but if I kick a pedal on, now I can get kind of a raunchy old school sound. And so I like to do that, and sometimes people will stack pedals just on a clean channel. So they're going like, you know, and if you want to even go more, you can add more distortion.
Sure.
But what I think about it is it gives you more character. And sometimes with guitar players, that if we just keep putting gain on top of gain, our tone can almost get thinner and smaller.
Yeah.
And have you ever played live where you thought you had the most incredible lead tone in the world, and then you accidentally hit your clean channel for just a split second, and your sound got really loud and really full and really clear?
Mm-hmm.
And when you click it back, it sort of turns into a mosquito coming at you.
I've seen it.
It's happened to me.
Yep.
So what I found is, you know, when you're playing live, maybe turn up the amp a little more, turn down the gain a little less, and use a pedal just to give you that sweet spot. And that's something that sometimes people don't understand is, you know, why would you use a distortion pedal with a fuzzy amp or amp that has gain? It's really about getting that little extra compression and having the attack on the notes. And what compression means for people out there that don't understand it is it kind of like, it's like taking the little subtleties of the bottom of the notes and the little subtle things that you're doing and bringing them to the surface so that they don't get lost.
Gotcha.
And another trick is if you're playing with a clean channel, put a distortion pedal on and roll your volume back. So now you might have a tone that's... and it has a little more fullness. If I shut off the pedal, it's kind of thin.
Yeah.
But if I put
you lose that mid-range.
Yeah, it's going to give it some fullness. And don't be afraid to have your volume back just a little bit. It's like sometimes the sweet spot. And also when you roll your volume back, it naturally rolls off a little bit of your high end. You know, most guitars will be designed to roll off a little of the treble, which sometimes can be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Now, how about yourself, Pedro? Do you play with overdrives at all, or are you strictly using the amp's built-in distortion?
I do actually. I use both, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, I've been using this same Pinnacle we're just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And back in 2011, I was living in Belgium for a short period of time. And I went to this guitar shop, like a really, really boutique kind of thing. And they used to build pedals themselves.
Okay.
So I got one for them. It's meant to be like some sort of tube scream, but a bit more hot rodded.
Okay.
But I've been using this one just as a booster, as a volume booster. And if I put that one on top of the Pinnacle, it sounds absolutely brilliant. It goes actually the other way around. It doesn't go. It doesn't make you sound like a mosquito in this specific case because I'm just because I'm not putting any gain in front of it. I completely roll off the gain of this one.
That's a perfect example.
The latest is a really, really good thing. It's a really good thing. I also use if I got like a clean line that I need to make it more pronounced when I'm playing live, I just kick it in and it's really, really good. You get this sort of bite in the end of your tone, which is amazing. But the latest thing I've been using, and I'm absolutely hooked up on this, it's a simple Fender Hot Rod Deluxe.
Okay.
Which there's nothing simple about it. But that's with my guitar, that's pretty much everything I need.
That's your tone right there.
That's my tone right there. And I've been doing exactly what Gary said about rolling back your volume, your guitar volume, so you got like a really nice clean tone.
Mm-hmm.
And you got this nice mid-range on top of it. So it's really nice. And if you want just some bite, just blast it. It's really, really good.
Oh, very cool.
To be honest, I'm a bit surprised. I got some really cool amps. This Marshall is a 1959 hand wire plexi.
Nice.
And it got the Friedman Brown Eye mods on it.
Okay.
So it's really, really cool. And also an extra switch that gives you a JTM 45. It's really good. But again, if I'm being honest, I'm completely hooked up on this Fender Raw Deluxe.
Oh, nice.
It's just really good, man. It's
and
really
down below
good.
that, it looks like you have the same one I have, the 100-watt first gen, right? 5153?
True. That's right. It's really good, but really loud.
It is.
Really, really loud.
You know, it was funny, since I got in the spring when the Lunchbox 2 come out, I got that amp, like I have the first gen and the second gen, and I was really looking forward to the second generation one because it had the clean channel. And so when I got that, I started using the overdrives a lot, and I shut my 100-watt off. I don't even think I had it plugged in, and for about 3 or 4 months, I didn't even know if it worked anymore. So one day I'm talking to a mutual buddy, he's a good friend, and he's a supporter of the show here too. He says, oh, I don't use overdrives. I use my amps, with all my EVH stuff. I only use the amp stuff. I'm like, I know, I understand, but this is me. This is how I do it. And I said, out of all fairness, I'm just going to fire up the 100-watt again and just give it some love. And I fired it up that day, and now I've gone back the other way. Now I'm strictly the amp distortion guy. But I'm not sure who I told either one of you guys this off the air, but I was saying about the Pinnacle. I think I was telling you, Pedro. I'm not sure, but so Wampler sent me this one. And I said to them, to both the people, my people at Wampler, I said, I don't want to like this pedal. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to like it because I like my MXR 5150 a lot. And it's my little security blanket, whatever. And I said, I don't want anything to take away love from that thing. And I plugged it in. I only spent 5 minutes on it just to give it a quick, because I like to plug in a pedal and spend 5 minutes with it and then walk away. And then I'll come back again. And if there's enough interest in it to make me come back after 5 minutes, then there's potential love for this pedal. I still may not like it, but at least it makes me want to come back, because there's been some pedals, I'll turn them on for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, let's put them back in the box. And this thing, I love it so much that it's going to be very hard to get rid of. I'm going to give this one away as a prize after I do a demo on it. But I love it. So guys looking for the brown sound, I do still obviously push the MXR 5150 Overdrive. Cannot go wrong with that. If money is not the object, get that one and this one. But I'm telling you, if you're looking for the brown sound, it's almost hard not to get the brown sound. I mean, it's anything but. It's just incredible. But I love that. I love using the distortion for the amplifiers like that. And Gary, you were talking earlier too as well about exotic effects. And one thing you got to try, I know you've got the pedal there right now, not tonight, but the EP booster, and you've got some other ones. Mutual friends of mine have that pedal as well too, and I tried both in front of the amp. I tried it in the loop. I put it in the loop of the 5150. It's my second last pedal before my delay, and I keep it with the gain to 0, like basically no gain, just using it for the boost. And wait till you hear your 5150 with that thing, with clean and distortion, natural distortion, natural clean. The warmth of that amplifier, I can't wait for you to try it. So you haven't even hooked it up yet, have you?
Yeah, I do. I have it hooked up right now. I have the EP hooked up.
So is it in the front of the amplifier?
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just running it in the front, yeah.
Okay. For fun over the weekend, maybe have you tried it yet in the loop?
No, I did not. I will try it.
Try it just to see what you think. I want to hear your honest thoughts on it, because my buddy Rob Cunningham
Put
from
it at the end of the chain? At the end?
Yes.
Okay.
Second last. I have a second last. Try it anywhere you want in the loop, even if it's just the only one in the loop for a try. But one of my friends, Rob Cunningham from D'Addario, he's got the exact same head that you have there as well. His is modified by Voodoo amps or whatever to do something with the one channel, but he's using the same amp you are, and he's running it. He tried it in front, put it through the loop, and he loved it as well too. So just try it, see what you think of it. It'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try it out. The one thing I'll say about distortion pedals, like for me, I have a 50-watt head. I have a 100-watt, as well. And I like the 100-watt live, with my band, because there's more headroom, there's more dynamics. I can control the 3 channels better. But, I want to just talk a little bit about pedals for a second to some of the guitar players out there listening that may not, be as experienced as we are. Maybe they're just baffled at why they're not getting what they want. I recently did a Skype lesson with a buddy of mine, and he was asking me about getting squealies and pick harmonics, and we were chatting about that whole thing. And that's the one thing where I find, like for me, I have a tube screamer, the Ibanez tube screamer TS9. I have one right here in front of me. I have a exotic EP, which is a booster, clean boost, 1 knob. I have the SL, which is a super lead drive. I have a Gary Hoey Skull Crusher, which they don't make anymore. I have the Intimidator, which I did with Rocktron, which is really great, but it's like a super intense a distortion, a lot of mid-range. But what I want to let people know is, you can have 2 or 3 different distortion pedals, and sometimes, it's okay to turn the tone back on your distortion pedal. Don't put it really bright, roll it back a little bit, put the gain back, and find that sweet spot. And then use it in places like for me, like if I'm playing a riff and I'm going, and you want to get the thing to go, you want to get those notes to explode and squeal. For guys out there that don't know, throw on that distortion pedal on top of your gain. That will add the compression you want, and then choke up on the pick and use the side of your thumb, get the flesh in there, and it's kind of like a motion where you're raking into the string and you're using some of that flesh, and that's going to give you that where you really get the ZZ Top and the Van Halen squeal. And I just want people to know that that's a purpose of your distortion pedal, is to help you get those harmonics.
Perfect. Yeah, that's it, because you get that gain. It's kind of a natural increase, and then the cool thing is you can go from that. Once you learn it, you can do it. Because here's what I find: a lot of kids, once they do it once, it's like, okay, I can do it. Then you can actually, now that you know you can do it, you can do that clean, and then you emphasize and you work on it clean and perfect it. Then you go back to your distortion and be popping out every turn.
Right, exactly. And it's something that, Eddie Van Halen, to me, he really helped us all open our eyes to the harmonics and the potential of the harmonics on an electric guitar. And that's one thing that people need to know. When Eddie was moving his hands down the string, he figured out there was harmonics going all this way.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm playing in D minor, I love D minor because these harmonics, if you play over the neck pickup, those are great harmonics.
Beautiful.
Right over the D, playing in D. Or if you're playing in B minor, same position over that front pickup. So, people need to realize those harmonics, they're not by accident. They're in mathematical places, and sometimes you hit and miss it, but it's really finding that sweet spot and the touch with your hand, and then I think you'll be able to control your notes. Fantastic.
Good tips, man, for sure. I'm just seeing someone over in the chat saying Craig Guitar Wannabe. He's a great guitar player too. So we tend to see a lot of good guitar players pop up in the chat. He says, "Hey Gary, that CD I won last time." So he won a CD from you. He says you're on the show. It just kills. He loves your CD.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. I'm going to continue with a few comments. I'm going to come back to an Eddie Van Halen question here in a second. And yeah, we had some great CDs. We'll try to think. I'll think of a trivia question here soon too. I'll try to make it pretty tricky so people don't get it on the first try, and we'll give something away here tonight as well too. This is good. Trebor says, "Love Gary Hoey. Can't wait to see him again on the Rock Legends cruise." You've got that coming up in early January, February.
Yes, we're going to be back on Rock Legends in February. I believe it's in February, and I cannot wait. Bad Company is one of the headliners.
Nice.
And just another amazing lineup of bands. Sammy Hagar is the headliner.
That's cool.
You might have heard of him.
I think,
know.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yep.
And it sold out like almost immediately when they announced Sammy. And it's going to be an incredible experience. And I'm actually hosting the All-Star Jam. I'm not supposed to talk about it publicly, but
no problem.
Oh well. But I'm going to be the host of the All-Star Jam because I love to jam, and I'm very good at kind of getting people together and just having a good time, man. And sort of being the ringleader. It's something I love to do. I enjoy it.
That's great. That's what sets a guitar players apart too, is the ability to jam. And that's why another person I talk about on the show a lot is Joe Satriani. And I find that there's a lot of great talented guitar players out there, millions of them. But Joe Satriani is one of those guys that can improv like no tomorrow. And being a jam guy that's why I would love to be on that boat to watch that, just an unorchestrated jam.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it's about. And Joe's a good example. I mean, he. If you've had enough jams, you kind of know, what the ins and the outs of how to step forward and how to support each other and, and make it a good time, and that's how I am. I enjoy it. And I want to make everybody shine. That's the bottom line. And
then you do a very good job with that for sure. So that was from Trebor. He says, "I can't wait to see the next cruise." Let me see here. Let's continue on. Christoph Berger says, "Pedro is an amazing player. You guys should check out his band, the Crooked Kings." Tell us a real quick plug about the band. Tell us where they can find you on the internet and stuff like that, and what kind of your music is like. Now, I've seen your stuff, but a lot of people haven't. Tell us a little bit about your band.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool. Thanks for the nice comment, man. The Grinch Kings is a London-based band. The guys that started, I auditioned for this band and got into this band last year, around April. It's really nice guys. It's really hard to put into words to describe the genre of the band. If I tried, they call indie rock. I don't really see it as indie rock, if I'm being honest. I really like energetic rock, that kind of thing, because I'm all about energy, man. I really like that kind of thing. The feel of being on the stage and feeling the stage really hot. We've been really blessed lately. We recorded with Steve Lyon. Big shout to Steve Lyon. He's the producer. He did Depeche Mode. He did The Cure. He's a really nice guy. Got a Panic Button Studios in London. It's a really nice place to be at. And we just released about 2 weeks now, 24th of June. Yeah, roughly 2 weeks. We just released Shadows, a new EP with a video. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, I believe, it's on YouTube. There's the page on Facebook as well, the Grinch Kings, just as it is. And got some plans, got some more new EPs lined up to be released along this year. The next one is going to be in August, because we're touring the UK in August. We're going to Brighton, we're going to Manchester, Chester,
Nice.
I believe Birmingham, doing London as well. It's going to be really, really cool. Got lots of really cool things shadow ahead.
That's good, man. You got your serious work ahead of you. I'm really proud of you. That's good. Keep it up, man.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
that's
Thanks.
exciting, Pedro. I'm looking forward to hearing what you're doing and keeping up with your journey, and hopefully we'll play a show together sometime over in the UK. And
That would be, well, it just meant you just said to me, okay, so let's get into the bad car and go to Gotham City.
we'll make it happen. We'll have a jam. It'll be great.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be awesome. Thanks, man.
Over in the chat, we got Vintage Hound saying ho ho hoey. And it's really funny about that. I know Gary's so much more than Christmas, and I know you appreciate some of the roots with the Christmas stuff, and I have to give props to that too. That's how I discovered you, Gary. And it was 101.1 WRIF in Michigan, which is just an hours and a half away from me. It used to be like 45 minutes from where I used to live, but it was a good old riff. I listened to that station for 30 years, and Drew and Mike, there's, God forbid, they're gone now. I mean, they're doing their own thing in separate podcasts and stuff. But if it hadn't been for those guys, I would have never discovered you. And it became, and I told you this on the last time as well, when it comes Christmas here at our season, usually like the end of November, Poison Ivy here is like, okay, before we get the Christmas decorations out, let's start putting the ho ho hoey on, and then we get in the Christmas vibe. And it's huge here. It's literally more important to us than our Christmas tree. And I mean, I wouldn't say more than the presents, because Bane Rocks would say the presents are more important. But the ho ho hoey would be a secondary to the presents. But it's very important in the house, and I know a lot of people share that sentiment as well too.
That's cool, man. Well, I love the Christmas music. Obviously, growing up in New England near Boston in the freezing cold, my mom played all the Elvis, Bing Crosby,
Yep.
Every Johnny Mathis, all the classic Christmas music. So, be honest, I'm a sucker for those old melodies, man. I love those old melodies. I think they're really beautiful, and there's some great arrangements in there, and I always enjoy trying to reinvent them, and
Yes.
just do different things and do different treatments with each song, and that was, I think, why the songs are still, still standing the test of time, because you can take Christmas songs and you can do them kind of quick and hokey. And when my kids were really little, I bought a Christmas album for kids, and the guy recorded every song in the key of C.
Mm-hmm.
So halfway through the album, I wanted to kill everybody. Because it was like deck the halls above the holly, and every song was the same key.
Yeah, you could tune your guitar to it.
Yes, exactly. So I wanted to make an album that had some depth to it. Like the 12 Days of Christmas was one of the first ones I did on the first Christmas album,
Mm-hmm.
and Drew and Mike, they were very instrumental in no pun intended,
Yeah.
in helping me get my name out there, and it did become a pretty amazing thing the last 20-something years of just going around the country and playing holiday music. And I still love it, and I'm recording a lot of new music right now to put out another Christmas album, hopefully this year coming up. But I'm real excited to put out some new music.
Fantastic. And I'm gonna ask for a little. I'm gonna be very selfish here for a second. And I know it's far from Christmas. It's hotter than heck. I'm sweating like crazy in here. But would you mind throwing off a little bit of riff of Grinch for me?
Yeah, man, absolutely. You know, the Grinch is another one. You know, I'll tell you guys, the Grinch was a song that I always thought was a cool song. Just when I was a kid, you know, watching the show and the TV show and that whole, you know. You know, that was sort of the riff, and then I was like, okay, hold on, let me tune this baby up.
Yep.
I was in a little drop D there. You know, and I wanted to take that melody where the horn goes, and I wanted to make that the riff. And that was kind of how I got the idea. And then the little triplet thing. It's fun.
I love it. That's great. And that's the thing too, like you said that you nailed it right on the head when you said like the things that you listen to with your mom. And I have some of the same things. You mentioned them totally. Bing Crosby, and my mom had the Elvis, had Dean Martin, Chet Atkins, and things like that. But you, where most guitar players would just play the melody. That's why you've always excelled, I think, because you thought, well, everyone else is going to do it that way, so I'm going to try it this way. And I think that's set out a career for you.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, the little things that I would do, like I would take the beginning of the first Noel and I would go. You know, I wanted to make it so you really didn't know what the song was at first. But you might say, that's a pretty melody. And then when it comes in. You know, I try to give it sort of a, an identity, or if I did, you know, if I did something like this, where I would go, you know, I mean, to me, that could be AC/DC, it could be Eddie Van Halen, because I wanted to, again, try to create something different, and then go into. Melody is better than that. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I love it. And I mean, let's go fast forward. Let's go to your new record, Dust and Bones. Like that riff on that one alone. Now, do you have to tune differently from that? Could you give us a little sample of that one for a second? I love the opening riff to that.
Yeah, you know, Dust and Bones was a song that I wanted to create kind of an atmosphere, and this new album, I didn't want it to just be, you know, a bunch of, you know, 1-4-5 blues, and I had this little riff that I do a lot. I love this minor chord. I love this minor. And what I'm doing is I'm playing a D minor where I'm playing the root on the 5th string on the A, but I'm using the F on the D string on the 3rd fret. So I'm playing the minor 3rd on the D string.
Okay.
So it gives it a thicker, richer D minor sound. And then the flat 7 is on the 5th fret on the G string. So it's a minor chord I fell in love with a few years ago. And because my low E string is tuned down to D, if I drop my bar down, then I get that slide like this. So when I come up, I go, and so in that, if you tried to play it without the way I play it, it would probably sound like this.
Huge difference.
You know, if you didn't know that chord voicing. And then I drop down to the B flat. And then I do an old school just power thing.
love it. Now, what are you using for a flanger there? I'm curious to ask.
I fell in love with this flanger. I got it from Howard Leese. It's by Toad Works. It's called the Barracuda.
Okay.
Nice name.
It's a really amazing pedal. I found out that Eric Johnson's been using it lately as well. Howard gave him one on the Experience Hendrix tour, and it's really an amazing pedal. It's got a great, rich sound, but it doesn't mess up your tone.
No, it doesn't get in the way at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it doesn't take anything away. It has a level control, which really is nice. And, the same chord, I'll tell everybody, the same chord I actually use in the song Deja Blues, which someone mentioned for my last album. I go like this.
I like that.
So it's that same exact chord, and I'm using the MXR Phase 95. It's the Phase 95.
Yep.
What an amazing little half pedal. And so I'm using that chord as much as I can.
Oh, I love that. You know, it's really funny. I'm glad that you mentioned that with the Phase 95 too. Like, I'm using the Phase 90, the EVH model. And I've got a couple pedals on my board that will do the effect that I want. Like, I've got the J-Rocket Audio Tranquilizer, which I love as a rotary vibe kind of phase. You can do either or. But there's a song I wrote and I played on the show here sometimes called Fly, and I use a Leslie in the studio. Now, obviously, I don't have a Leslie here, and nor could I, afford one these days or put one in the studio. But I use the Phase 90. If I dial that thing up to about the 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock position on a clean channel, you should hear the Leslie effect you can get with that. It's not crazy fast, and it's warm. I love that sound.
Yeah, and exactly. And what you want is a sound, a pedal that really just takes it over the top when you hit it.
Mm-hmm.
I was on tour with Beth Hart. Her tech and her guitar player came up to me. They're like, what kind of Leslie pedal are you using?
Yeah.
And that's all it was. Because sometimes, all you need is as long as it's going to give you the effect you're after. And, what I like to do with effects is I like to make them kind of dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what I'll do with this song live is I'll shut the pedal off and I'll use delay. And I'll play the melody. I might go. And then I time it so I go. And I kick the pedal on right exactly at that time, so it takes into a whole other mood.
Yeah.
And then I won't go to the clean channel. I'll just take my volume and turn it down. So it's cleaned up a little bit, but it's not too clean.
I gotcha. And here's a good point too for guitar players out there too. So when you're songwriting, whether you're an instrumentalist or you're playing with a vocalist, so you've got your high points in your song, your emotions and things like that too. Here's a perfect way to think of movies with a great soundtrack. So the movie's got a great script, and the good soundtrack goes along with it. So your songwriter now has written this beautiful piece by using effects coming in and out, knowing when to get in and when to get out, can really add to that overall emotion of the song, which you've just shown us.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you're a 3-piece band live,
you need it. You need it.
You don't have a keyboard player, you don't have another rhythm guitar, then you want to have that contrast in the sounds. And I kind of abandoned reverb lately. I don't know why. I've just been taking reverb out of the picture. I found it was taking a lot of my attack away. So I've been using the Vox Time Machine delay pedal, which Joe Satriani designed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Really good.
Joe and I kind of traded pedals. I gave him one of mine. He gave me one of his. And I also used the, it's called the Boost Delay by Tech 21.
Okay.
I really love the Boost Delay, and I'm using that to create more space and ambience in my live sound. And with the Boost Delay, I like doing stuff where I can it's an analog sounding delay. So what's really nice about it is I can turn it on and I can play kind of like, I like messing around with stuff with timing, with delays, like, I like doing that kind of stuff and just playing with like a. that's probably something we wouldn't even do if it wasn't for Eddie Van Halen, you know?
Exactly, like your cathedral.
Right.
You know, sometimes I'll step on it really fast and try to just get like a, you know, sort of like a, you know, like, there you go, like, maybe too fast. I'm not that fast. Bring it down a little bit. So there you go. It's like a magician showing his trick. Changing the tempo here. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Here we go. Here we go. So if I set off the delay, this is all I'm doing. It's going to give you the every other note.
I love that. You know, it's funny too. It's something you wouldn't expect. Here's a band too, like another guitar player that I'm sure we all admire. Slash, one of my heroes as well. Go back 2 records ago of his, not the last one of his solo album, but the one before, and that big song. What was it called? Liar or You're a Lie, whatever. I forget the exact name of the title. But before the main chorus in that thing, he'll do this progression, downwards progression, and then just before the chorus, he puts on a delay like that. I don't know what the delay timing is, but an arpeggiated kind of Van Halen cathedral thing, and it's so subtle, you have to really be listening for it. But it's amazing how that can just carry, okay, I'm setting you up for the chorus, or I'm setting you up for the hook now. It really comes to life.
Absolutely.
Sets up the mood.
Yeah, mess around and try, you know, try to find sounds that are different, unique, and, you know, it's trial and error, man. But I think, you know, I'm a big fan of pedals because they're right there, they're accessible, you know. Yep,
turn a knob and go, as opposed to all the rack stuff. I mean, the rack stuff, it has its time and still has its time, but if you want to make an immediate adjustment, you want to go like down like 55 cents and over here and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, and in the studio, a lot of times I just unplug my loop and I, you know, I don't use pretty much any effects other than a couple stomp boxes, and I just run some reverb and delay on the board. So I'm hearing some wetness, you know, but I'm not really printing any of it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of printing dry and then adding your effects later because, you know, you can decide where it's going to be, unless it's a special effect, you know, like Dust and Bones. I recorded that flanger, you know, we printed it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if your pedal's getting you your sound, then you've got to record that way. But with reverbs and delays, be careful because when you're mixing, you want to be able to move them in and out of the space.
Yes.
You know, if guitar players out there aren't sure how much reverb to put, just shut it off and let the guy put it on the board, and it'll sound like you're in a big cathedral, you know.
That's right. Nice to have it in your mix that you're getting just for your mix, but not what's going to tape, just so you feel like you're in that big zone. You got your delays and reverbs, and you feel like you're playing a million times over. But when it goes to tape, you want that to be as dry as possible. And I know what you mean by certain effects having to go to tape. There's a song I've recorded it twice with 2 different singers, and the first time I went into the studio, I really needed the EVH flanger for just these 2 power chords. All I was doing was hitting a D chord and a C chord, like but I wanted this flange to be this big effect right there, and for some reason the engineer just couldn't capture it correctly the first time around. Second time around he did, and if I hear the song without it, it's like it's night and day difference. You just need that big swoop for that big, you know, hook, right? And it was cool.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. You just, you know, you don't, if it's giving you what you need, you got to do it. You've got to add more sometimes in the studio. You know, I'll think I had plenty of reverb on my amp. Like I like my super reverb, my Fender, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going for that surfy tone, I'll crank the reverb up.
Sure.
But sometimes I'll think I had enough, and then I'll get to the studio and I'll add more. You know, you never know.
I like the idea that you're saying too, that you kind of backed off on the reverb, and I'm a very bad victim for that of my own circumstance. I tend to crank the reverb, and of course, you know, a lot of stuff I play around here is Van Halen. So if I'm going for that early, you know, first album, first era, obviously it's super plated reverb, and it's insane, and I try to duplicate that. and I'm using like a plate reverb with the effect level quite high. But I'm gonna take some of your advice here too, and I like delay. Trust me, delay is my favorite friend, best friend, and I play with a couple different presets, 350 milliseconds, 450 milliseconds, depending on where I'm at, and I like that ambiance. So I'm gonna turn the reverb off for a few days. It's gonna take some discipline and see if that helps me a little bit too, and just focusing a little bit more on things that I might be tucking under the carpet under that reverb, I think.
Well, what I noticed is by shutting off the reverb, I actually was getting more rewarded by the work I was doing because I was noticing my articulation was a little off, the timing was a little off. Because if you look at Eddie, he was recording with an amazing amp, an amazing guitar, in a great studio, and then they added all those reverb. They added all that reverb later.
They did.
So he had the attack in the recording, but then they put on it probably some big, gorgeous, beautiful plate reverb in the studio that was up in the attic somewhere. That gave him that space and dimension, and it made them sound. It almost gave the production like they were in an arena.
Yeah.
And they were coming to your town, and I think was what he was after. But I've noticed with my band, when I shut off my reverb and we're just jamming, like the riffs are cutting through tighter. I'm hearing my articulation and I'm feeling the notes better and more of the, but I'm noticing with a delay or even two delays, you can capture the same effect that you were getting with your reverb if you want it really creamy, but you won't lose your attack.
Good point, and that's some advice I'm going to use for my own benefit, and hopefully other people will take that as well too. There you go. Thank you. Here's a question for you. Since we just talked a little bit about Eddie Van Halen, obviously we have a little bit of Eddie Van Halen talk on this show, and both of you guys can. And Pedro, you can answer this question too. So recently, I did a video on YouTube. It's a few videos back. It was my pick of the top 3 eruption covers on planet Earth. So I picked 3 guys in my opinion. Everyone has an opinion, but I picked the 3 guys I thought that did the best, and it ranged from a local Canadian guy here in Canada, Jacob Duraps, to Dweezil Zappa, to
I know him, yeah.
Yeah, he's great, eh? And Pete Thorne. So Pete Thorne was my number 1 pick. So what do you guys both think? And Pedro, I'll let you go first on this one, and then Gary can echo his thoughts. What is it about that solo eruption I'm talking about that makes all of us, many of us, go back to it again and again and again, and like just chase it our careers? What do you think it is about that solo?
That's really, really hard question. That's a really good one. I mean, where to begin? That's the point. It's done. It's printed in history. That's the thing. The beauty of the thing is it's an amazing solo. It sounds a bit like some sort of improvisation, but because it's been recorded and so well performed, it feels like an actual piece that was absolutely laid down. It could be something related to that. It's really hard to describe exactly what you feel about that, and it's a really dodgy area to go because you don't want to upset no one about this kind of feel.
And I think your emotions will change over years too.
Indeed. I mean, the first time I heard that, I couldn't believe my ears. I think it's just the same with everyone. The tapping part, it sounds like something is going to explode. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Like, oh my God, something is going on. Just so good. It's just so good.
And how about you, Gary?
Well, here's what I say. I'm just kidding. Right now. Wow, where do I begin? Like Pedro, you know what? To me, Eruption was, it sort of started a revolution. It really did, because what it did was, it gave people a glimpse into Eddie's technique, right out of the gate in terms of how he could attack the instrument, the innovativeness of how he did the two-handed tapping, moving up the neck, and all the things that it went through. And how long we all, tried to, play it note for note, and we studied it and we practiced it. It gave us great discipline, and I think it started a revolution of what guys could do with their guitar, and to have an expressive moment. That was, remember, we'd have the drum solos back in the day. It was like blickum, 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 and then they do their drum thing. And, you have occasional solos, but mostly guitar players, we got our solos in the middle of the songs, and Eddie said, wait a minute, give me a minute. give me an opening, and then go have a beer, and then he, because I remember when I auditioned for Ozzy Osbourne, I was told you're going to learn these songs, and then you have to play a 5-minute unaccompanied solo.
Oh boy.
So, you know, for guitar players out there, when you go to do an audition with someone like Ozzy, when you're told you've got to do a 5-minute unaccompanied solo, you can't play Eruption,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
So you got to do your own thing. So we all came up with our thing, you know, whether it was, okay, I'm going to go, you know, whatever it is, I'm going to do my thing. And then I'm going to go, you know, and I'll play some bluesy things, right? And then I might do that goes, you know, I got to do my climb. And then I might go, now I want to go. You know, and then we'd all quiet down, and we might do like a picking thing. We might go, you know. You know, Eddie told us to do that.
Yeah, of course he did.
Turn the volume down. Learn to play quiet. Learn to play loud. Learn to play fast. And then go. You know what I mean? He taught us in that one song how far we could take it. And there's a phrasing that Eddie does, you know, in his attack that I think will never leave any of us. It's where he bends a note and then he goes, it goes probably back to Spanish Fly. Wham, you know, it's that. It's a phrase that he did that we all took and we kind of ran with it. And to me, that's what that song did, you know, and it really was probably the thing that turned everybody around. And I think no one's ever beat it. No one's ever topped it. And I sort of gave up at one point, you know.
I have too.
My 15-year-old son was in his bedroom, you know, and he's like, he like had it 80%. I was like, I quit. You know, my son does it better than me, you know.
I know. I said it in the video too, and it makes me feel good about how it makes me it solidifies what I said about it being one of the best guitar solos, because I've given up on it and I'm okay with it because, you know, I'm not going to be upset that I can't learn it. Now, on the flip side of that, I've bought I've been chasing it for my whole life, and I've been playing for about 30 years, and I've watched YouTube video after YouTube video. I've watched all the best. I've watched the Dweezils. I've watched the Pete Thorns. I've watched all these guys. I bought lessons recently, and they're very accurate. And the parts that I was doing okay, now that I'm psychoanalyzing myself, I sound like a beginner again. I'm messing up the parts I could do before, and the parts, you know, the other parts I can't learn yet. It's one of those things where it's almost like it's okay to walk away from it. It's been done. Walk away. And so you don't want it to become that no stairway when you go to the music store. You don't have to sign up saying no eruption, please, right? So
yeah. Or you know, learn pieces of it. You know, I always say to guitar players, it's okay to learn like parts of it. You know, like the really cool melodic things. And that's what I did growing up. I would only take it so far, and then I would be like, no, man, I'm just gonna do my own thing here. Yeah. You know. And for any guitar player out there watching that's, you know, never done tapping in his life, you know, there's things you can do with tapping that are creative. You know, like it's nice to bend a note, you know, and just bend a note and go. You know, and bend the third, and then touch the fifth, and then touch the root. You know, a couple things like that are really cool in a solo. But what I like to do is take the 12 frets higher and touch the note. You know, where you just get that harmonic.
Yes.
Another good one is just if you're playing a pentatonic scale, you know, is tap the position in front of it and go like this. Go. You know, so you're tapping the first note, pull off to the second, hammer the third note. So you go. Take something like that. You know, and that in the middle of a solo at the right moment could be all you need to take the solo to the next level without being Eddie Van Halen. You know what I mean? You're just you're being yourself.
I agree with that 100%.
Getting your own self. I can't really play as it is 3 a.m. here. one thing that I really like to do with tapping, and I honestly never seen someone doing that specific thing. Not saying it's original, but it's really cool when you want to sort of get to a new level on your solo, and you're just using pentatonics, for instance. You can go from one octave to the other one just using a tapping, like you literally jump on it.
That's
you
right.
Slide all the way up. I really like that. I really like the idea.
Very cool. I'm gonna jump back with the chat real quick for a second. We're at 10:17. So we'll go Dan Wilhite says, "Hey Gary, last time you're on, I won the CD as well." He says the album is incredible. Thank you very much. Also, thanks for signing it and adding one of your seriously cool glow in the dark picks. Very cool. Rock and roll.
Cool. Those glow in the dark are cool, man. I think I've got like one left. I'm gonna order some more.
They're nice. Drop them on stage. You got them. You can see them glowing. Yeah. Home recording made easy says, "Hey Eric, good to see everyone." Vintage Sound says, "Hey everyone." So here's a question from Constance. Gary, who are some of your favorite artists?
Some of my favorite artists. Wow. There's so many. I mean, I like a lot of the classics. I'm just a big fan of the Beatles and Hendrix and Clapton, Jeff Beck. I tend to listen to a lot of the classic stuff, and nowadays, I mean, I kind of notice everything that's going on with music, but I'm a little bit, I don't know how to say it. It's like I get tired of hearing perfection all the time on the radio. It's like I like Katy Perry and I like, a lot of artists, but I just wish I could hear a singer sing almost out of tune.
I know. I agree with that.
Is auto-tuned so perfectly all the time, every minute, every note, that it starts to you start to tune it out a little bit. And when I hear, Robert Plant, kind of slide up to a note, and you know what I mean, or go a little flat, it just rubs you in a cool way.
It's a blessing.
So I just wish people would either slow down the setting on auto-tune, or try to sing it without it.
Yeah.
So that's some of the problems I have with a lot of new music is they're just fixing everything too much. Leave a little bit of the mistakes in there.
I agree. That's a very good point. Let me see. Shawn Tubbs says, "Hey Eric, Vintage Sounds, Blackie." Shawn Tubbs, you're the freaking man, Gary. That's from Shawn Tubbs himself. There you go.
Thanks, brother.
Love it. Thanks, Shawn. You're the best. Dan
You're
Will.
not yourself.
He is a great man. I really enjoyed having him on the show, and then I found out where some of his idols are too. It's amazing how we share this bond. Very, very cool. Dan Wilhite says, "Eric, you underrate yourself. You can hang with the best." Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Poison Ivy says, "Nice." Krager Wannabe says, "Speaking about mistakes, I went live today for the first time and made plenty of them." That, you know what? It's a train. It's like a train taking off on the tracks. And the show has been like that many times before too. It'll take off on the tracks. And the way I look at it is, as long as there's not too many innocent victims, it's a good show. You know what I mean? You might have a couple of cars coming off the tracks, and you get the conductor and you just get it back on. Like a couple times I had a guest on one time, I lost him about 5 times, lost the connection. And, but we pulled it through. There's many people survived. It was all good. Sean Salas says, what's that?
I have a saying that I say to my friends and my family all the time. I'm like, well, they cannot put me in jail. It's like whatever I'm doing, it seems like the end of the world, and I'll just be like, you know what? They can't arrest me. They can't put me in jail.
Nope.
Because life is like that, and a rock and roll show is always like that. By the time you hit the stage, people have no idea what we went through that day to get to that point. And I always leave my baggage at the door and have a great time at the show, because you never know what, who's in the audience that came to see you, that's, drove 100, 300 miles, or, waiting 10 years to see you. You got to be there for everybody every minute. And I think that every guitar player out there, started out struggling and working their way up. And like you, Eric, you got to accept sometimes, when you have arrived, you know what I'm saying? And for me as a guitar player, it was the same way coming up. I just wanted Joe Satriani to, accept me, or Steve Vai and people like that. And they did. And I still remember meeting Steve Vai for the first time. And I said, "You're Steve Vai." and he goes, "You're Gary Hoey."
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I said, "You know me?" And he goes, "Yeah, I know you. I've got your albums." And it's just, it was amazing, to have that feeling. So guitar players out there, you got to realize we all make mistakes. We all struggle. But it's good days and bad days, man. But, you just keep working at it. And even on a bad day, you can be pretty good.
I agree with that. And I've said on the show many times too. I mean, I don't play near as much as what you guys do anymore because I do the show a lot. But I find I have more bad days than good. But my bad days aren't horrible. I mean, they're certainly not horrible. And when I do have the good days, then you just really appreciate them. You're like, okay, well, if I have a bad day tomorrow, and that goes with anything. You might have a few bad days at work, and then one day you go to work, and all of a sudden everyone's in a good mood. The boss is in a good mood, he's buying you pizza for lunch. So you remember those good days. So that can apply to anything. Sean Salas is saying Gary's one of the smoothest guitar players out there. Love watching Gary play. The panel here has some incredible guitar players. Awesome. Thank you, Sean. That's very much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Sam VH 5150, my good friend from LA, is joining, and he's friends with a lot of stellar guitar players. Nice to have you here as always. Let me see here. I missed a lot of questions here. I'm going to try to get down to the last few of them here. Let's see a few that I haven't mentioned so far. And we got to think of. Let's try to think of. Okay, so what do you want to give away tonight, Gary? You can pick. What do you want to give away? We'll do one prize tonight.
Well, we can do. We can do one of my my Intimidator signature foot pedals.
Oh, that sounds cool. Tell us a little bit about that pedal, so people will know about it.
So I designed it with Rocktron, and my son stole one of mine, but I've got a few of them running around. And what it is I called it the Intimidator because I made this pedal called the Skull Crusher with Homebrew Electronics out in Arizona. It's discontinued now. You can find them on eBay, but the Skull Crusher was a pedal that was not so gainy, but more like compression and just big volume. George Lynch said it's still on his pedal board, so
nice.
I'm happy. He loves it, and
Awesome.
Satch really loved it. So I wanted to make this next pedal more intense, and so the Intimidator is, if I could describe it, it's sort of like if you're in the band and you're not hearing yourself anymore and you're just fed up with being drowned out, you hit this pedal, and it brings you right there. But it's got that kind of saturation that, like, like Gary Moore, the way he would do that, he would just like attack those notes. You know what I'm saying? That sort of sound. I can't remember the song, but. That kind of sound with it has that real attack to it.
Love it. Okay, well, I think I have a question. For the trivia, and this is where we have to be fast. So, if Poison Ivy, if you're still watching, and Sam, you're a moderator here as well too. So we're going to be one prize tonight, and I'm going to scroll to the very bottom. Then I'm going to come back and just miss any comments that I might have missed. All right, so here's going to be the question. Whoever gets this one question right will get this pedal, and you'll send me the details after. You'll send me, just contact me through Facebook, facebook.com/EVH Gear TV. Give me your credentials, and I'll send them to Gary, and I guess, Gary, you'll handle it from there.
We'll ship it. Even throw a pick in there for him.
Oh, that'd be great. Okay, so what do you think of this? So Gary was on tour over in Europe, and he had a talented singer join him for several dates. What was the name of that singer that was with Gary on tour? Go. So there's probably about a 10 to 15 seconds. Let's watch for this, everyone. All right. Here we go. And I'm gonna grab the very first one I can. And Poison Ivy and Sam 5150 will be the ones to back me up, because sometimes it happens so fast that you never get to see the person. So the singer that joined Gary on several dates, and I won't say the gender because that might be too easy to give it away. And then we're gonna come back and we're going to go over a few more questions that I missed as well too. And I'm very excited for whoever wins this, because I know I won't win, though. Only luck I have is bad luck. That's not necessarily the case. If you don't win today, there's many more prizes this year to give away. So I'm going to keep watching that chat. Nope, not Dio. Nope, Lita Ford. Nope. Good tries. Good tries. Names that we mentioned tonight for sure. Lita Ford. Yep. Good tries. Keep them coming. Nope.
Guys, meantime, I always want to just Gary, what about that riff on Reaction? That is my all-time favorite.
Oh, the riff
yep.
to Reaction?
Rob Ashby. Rob Ashby got it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say Rob Ashby wins.
Hey, congratulations, Rob.
Oh, and Trebor came in right after Rob. Trebor, you came in right after Rob Ashby. So You came in too close, but not close enough. I'm sorry. So Rob Ashby, Beth was too easy. MB says, okay. All right, so go back to your question, Pedro. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
So who did he pick?
Beth Hart.
Beth Hart.
Yep.
Yeah. It was Beth Hart. We had an amazing time. She was very gracious to take me out on her tour in Germany. We did 10 shows together. She was incredible. She's an amazing singer. So congratulations to the winner. And if you want to take the second place guy, I'll send him a CD.
All right, there you go. Then that was Trebor. Okay, so let me make a note of that right now. You guys, let me see.
Take him as a second place winner. Pedro, you were asking about the song Reaction.
Yeah, dude, I love that riff. I love so much.
Thank you, man.
American Made.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was from the American Made album, and you know, I really love Stevie Ray, and I wanted to kind of come up with something that had that, you know, that. You know, I wanted that, and I wanted that.
Love that.
It's kind of funky, and what I do is I take my pickup selector and I move it back to that one position back. You know, you get that out of phase kind of.
Yep.
And that's sort of how I came up with it. I wanted that riff to be, you know, kind of a funky feel to it. But
really awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're getting
really awesome, dude. Thanks for showing.
Thank you for showing that, and thank you for the prizes too, because we got Rob Ashby and Trevor in the chat saying thank you very much. So I appreciate that as well too. And we're getting close to the end of the program, but something I wanted to ask about, and I've everyone too that's watching right now, down in the description below this video, I've got links to both Gary's website, Gary's Facebook. So give him a like on Facebook, please, if you haven't already done, and also to his merch store. But Gary, one of the things I've been talking about on the show a lot lately is vinyl. The boy and I are really getting into vinyl. We're loving it, to death. I loved it as a kid. That's all I had. But it's nice sharing that with him again. And in your store, you've got your new Dust and Bones available on vinyl. What kind of stuff? Are you a vinyl guy right now, or are you more digital? And if either way, what did you listen to on vinyl, and what's something you could recommend people just have to get, other than Dust and Bones as well too, but you have to get on vinyl?
Well, vinyl certainly is making a comeback. It's kind of like it's being appreciated again. Mm-hmm. I'm selling a decent amount of vinyl, at the shows. And when we were in Europe, we actually sold a lot of vinyl. I was amazed how much vinyl we sold. And, I think people are appreciating vinyl again, because that analog sound, man, there's a warmth to analog that anybody that has experienced the difference, if I could explain it, it's like analog has a depth to it, and it has a sort of a push and a shove and a warmth that you don't hear sometime with digital. And even if something was recorded on analog, but now you're listening to it on a CD, it's still ones and zeros that are reproducing. Mm-hmm. And, if I could explain it to people, it's like digital takes a perfect picture of what it sees, but analog actually has an effect on what it sees and what the sound is.
Interprets.
Yes, exactly. It's like digital photography, versus the old days when we had 35 millimeter film, and it's a different feel. So for me, I love that vinyl's coming back. Lita Ford's album came out on vinyl that I produced, Living Like a Runaway. So that I got back to it when that came out. And then with Dust and Bones, as an artist, anyone out there will say, when your album comes out on vinyl, you get real excited because you get to see that big artwork, mm-hmm. and put it on the turntable and hear it. So I'm a big fan, and growing up, I used to listen to everything from the first Boston album to Pink Floyd, Aerosmith. I remember we'd show up on the corner, and I'd have physical graffiti in my hand, walking around, and my friends would have vinyl. And so it goes back to me when I was a kid, and I think it's something that I went to the mall the other day, and there was an end cap display of these old school turntables that had a handle, mm-hmm. and the thing down, and it had 2 speakers. It wasn't even expensive. I'd recommend people go out and just get one of those, just so you can experience vinyl And then if you decide you like it, get a decent turntable, because it really is a different experience.
It is. We're cranking it. Like, we've got some good stuff right now. We're just getting back into it. But you'd be proud of my boy, too. 11 years old. He went into the store. He picked up vintage Who, Michael Jackson. He's going back for Grace Jones. We're listening to Rush in moving pictures, things like that. Obviously, a lot of Van Halen, of course. But where he really got to appreciate it, we're sitting on the couch listening to some great tunes. We have a good stereo system now. We've already had a good stereo system. We just recently got a turntable. And, he's experiencing the liner notes and getting to see who the producers were and looking at the artwork and just having fun. But like, you're looking at this liner note for 15, 20 minutes and then realize you've listened to the whole record. You're like, wow, it's done. And you relive that moment. It's very, very cool.
No, you're right. And good for you and your son. I mean, your kid's amazing. He's so awesome, because that to me is what music is about. Back in the day when people cared about who produced it and who engineered it, and who played on it, and where it was recorded,
who did the artwork, and
yeah, we're in a generation now where I think kids are so caught up on their iPhones and their iPads that they're hearing the music, but they're not stopping to really focus on it. But you know what? There's a lot of musicians out there and a lot of people that do care, and obviously it's showing up now.
I agree. And we're seeing record stores popping back up again. It could be a nice turn. We might actually have a few in our small cities. Like right now in my small town just outside where I used to live, we have one record store left. And then all of a sudden I heard the other day a new one's popped up and opened up. So yes, some competition, and maybe a third one or fourth one might open. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And I don't want to get off the track, but my latest album, Dust and Bones, I recorded it in a studio called Metronome Studios up in Brookline, New Hampshire, and they had an old analog SSL mixer, the old SSL console that a lot of people know about. There's the E series and the G series, and this is an old one, and we were just putting up the mixes, after we tracked the drums, and now everybody typically takes it home and they put it in Pro Tools and they put on the plugins, and man, when I heard that sound coming back off that mixer, I said, no way, we're keeping it here.
Nice.
And we sit on the old mixer board, and I'm telling you, man, it made a big difference. I think the way my album was received in Europe and around the world. So, I recommend, to some musicians out there, pick your album, pick which one you want to do or which demo, but go to a studio and hire someone to mix it for you on a real A-class mixing guy, because it's money well spent, and you can get studios more affordable now because people are doing so much at home that you can get some surprising rates at studios to do really good work for you, and use all that old tube gear that's sitting up there, all the old Neves and Pultecs and stuff like that. It really does make a big difference. So I'm going to do the same thing with my new record. We're gonna keep it analog, and I'm already almost done writing the next album. I'm already done.
Man, oh man,
Nice.
Fantastic. Well, I can agree to that because I was able to afford to get some of my stuff mastered. I had Nick Blagona master some of my stuff. I mean, he's done Deep Purple, he's done Rush, he's done Tea Party, he's done Rainbow. I mean, it's crazy who he's done, and I got it for ridiculous rates just because there's competition out there now, so you can get it. But I hope I'm not saying the wrong price, but I think, tell me if I'm correct here, you can get Dust and Bones vinyl signed for $30. Is that correct?
That sounds about right, man. Yeah, at least today only, folks. It goes up to $50 on Monday.
And the link is in the description, so get that for sure. We're going to be getting that from you as well, too. I want to get that for sure because a few guests I've had on the show recently, you being one, and a few weeks back, Mark Slaughter was on the show, and his new record just came out on vinyl. Other mediums as well, too. But I don't want to go buy CDs anymore. No, I'm going to probably buy them from iTunes and things like that and throw them on the iPod because we like to listen in the car. But I want that physical medium here, so yours is going to be next. Mark Slaughter's after that, and then we're going to go hit and look for some used ones as well too. But listen, we're going to let everybody go, and we have a lot of questions left for Gary, which the good thing about that is we get to invite Gary back again. So when the tour slows down, just before he goes back into the new year for the rock cruises, I'll reach out to you again, Gary, and if you have a hole in the schedule, you're more than welcome to come back, and we'll continue where we left off, and probably have some new questions as well too if you'd like to come back.
Absolutely, man. I would love to. For me, my life is, like a lot of people, it's fast-paced when you have two kids and, you got a career and you're trying to keep it all going. So for me, I like sitting in a forum like this and getting to talk about music, talk about, gear, ways that we can help other musicians out there to expand what they're doing. And a tip sometime can open a door for you. So I enjoy it. And I also, appreciate the fact that I've you've been making music for a long time, since the early 90s, and that a lot of people have stuck by me and my career and have, allotted me the chance to live my dream, and the thing, I said it on your show the last time, I'll say it again. Keep this thing in your hands.
Yes.
It's so important, man. Even for people that think they're too busy, play morning, noon, and night. Don't play 10 hours a day unless you can.
Yep.
But I mean, like 15 minutes in the morning with a cup of coffee and just play a little bit, play some blues, watching the news. In the afternoon, pick that guitar up. One thing I'll tell everybody that I do, when I start my day, I play a little bit in the house, watching the news and stuff, but then I'll come in my studio, and it's so tempting to jump into Facebook, and it's so tempting to turn on my
distractions.
Email. It's so tempting to go right there, but I force myself not to. I force myself to start my day with music.
Good.
So I come in the studio, and I turn on my EVH, I turn on my effects and my delays, and I pick up a guitar, and I start playing guitar, and I do that right away, and it's amazing. I'll come up with ideas for songs, or I'll just play some blues for a little while. And I tend to play standing up a lot. I'll keep my strap on, and I play standing up a lot because it prepares you for live performance.
Certainly does. You get too comfortable sitting down.
Sit down too much, you gotta play standing up. And then later in the afternoon, I'll do the same thing. If I'm doing business and a download is going to take 20 minutes or something, I grab my guitar.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Just find those little spots, and then at night do the same thing. When the kids are in bed, and the email stops and everything calms down, grab your guitar, and a beer, a glass of wine, a Kool-Aid, whatever it is, and play your guitar before you go to bed. And I guarantee you, your technique will improve so much more than just playing 45 minutes one time at night.
In a session. That's right.
I promise you, your technique will get better.
The best advice you can possibly ever take from the show, and you've said it before, which is great. I do it sometimes just over commercials and TV, or just over the score of a TV. I'm watching TV anyways. I'll be acoustic with my guitar, but I'll play it. And I have to say one thing, we've got to give Pedro huge props here, because a couple of people mentioned you look like you're tired, and we have to tell people what Pedro came through to get to be here today. Pedro drove 9 hours straight, literally 9 hours. He got out of his car, got a quick bite, got on the call with me about an hour before the show. We're just doing some chatting, whatever. So literally, it's insane. So Pedro, you're a trooper, as we were saying in the chat for sure too. You're a huge asset to Fender over there, and I'm sure they're very lucky to have you. And I'm very happy to have you on the show tonight too. And I'm mostly happy.
Thank you very much.
I'm very happy to have you with Gary, because I know how important Gary is to you, as he is to me as well. So it was a fun hang with both you gentlemen tonight, and I'm honored to have you warm up the weekend with me.
Thank you so very much, guys. Thank you so very much. Thanks very much for your kind words, Eric. Much appreciated.
No problem at all.
Pedro, thanks for making that drive and going through all that to get here on the show. That means a lot, and getting to meet you in person and hang out with you and have a beer was incredible. You're a great, great guy, and that goes so much further to me than the music, is the person behind the music. And I'm sure we're going to hang again. And, that's how rock and roll is. That's how life is, man. Sometimes you have to, if you see something that you want, you have to kill yourself to get there and achieve it and get that experience. And sometimes doing things for free, in the business, you might help somebody, you might make no money. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You go do it, because it leads to everything else. And for me, sometimes when I kill myself getting done, and then I get on the plane and I collapse going wherever I'm going, whether it's home or whatever, you feel satisfied, right? That you worked hard and you achieved something. So that's something that everybody needs to remember, man. When you're going through that hard time, remember there's a reward at the other end. There's a reward waiting for you from your hard work. And when you think people aren't noticing, they are.
That's right.
That's so awesome, and thank you so very much, Gary. That's just mind-blowing, to be honest, man.
What a way to end the evening. And you need to get some rest. You need to get some rest and sleep in as much as you can tomorrow. I want to also congratulate Poison Ivy for making it her first full show. This is very late for her. Usually she's in bed 2 hours ago. Her medicine has taken effect, so she's working very well with this. So it's a great weekend. This is awesome. I'm going to say goodbye to you gentlemen off the air, and I'm not going to keep you very long because I know Pedro is going to be very tired. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in and spending the Friday evening with both Gary and Pedro and I. And we hope you have a fantastic weekend. And we'll be back again. I'll probably be doing some live demos throughout the week next week. And I'm back with Dan Alvarez next Friday, who's working closely with Jason Becker. It's going to be a fun evening as well, too, talking some engineering, producing, and all kinds of great stuff as well, too. So you guys who won tonight, Rob Ashby and Trebor, I think it was, contact me through facebook.com/EVH Gear TV, and I will forward that information to Gary, and Gary will take care of you. Take a look at Gary's links down below, and be sure to check out all of his online entities and buy some goodies from the store, some good stuff waiting for you. And until next time, we'll talk to you real soon. Don't go away, guys. Cheers.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it, brother. You rock.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Checks in the mail.
Thank you, guys. Take it easy.
One of a kind. There's no one like you, dude. Keep doing this. Seriously.
I appreciate that. I really do. I do. I gotta go off. I gotta go to the end credits before I start blushing, and then everyone's gonna think they're gonna say mean things about me. All right, thanks, buddy.
Love you, brother.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll, guys.
Here we go.
My name is Eric, and I'm playing looking guitar.
Video production services provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs.